All right, guys, let's take a look at a Christopher Ward, kind of a classic one. This is a Mark II. So once you did the first one and got that out of the way, got all the kinks and bugs worked out, not that there really was any, it was kind of a hit to begin with, but the second gen one, this one here, I think was probably the model that really put him on the map as far as like a well-built, quality, affordable diver. This would be the guy here. This is the Christopher Ward C60 43 millimeter, because back then, as long as I can remember, there weren't like a bunch of different size options like there are now with the light catcher case. You know how you can get the 38, the 40, the 42, all that good stuff. Back then, you could get the 43. That's it. You get the 43. So it's a 600 meter water depth rating on this too. So that's going to be part of the reason why the watch is the size it is. So 43 millimeter case, about 50 lug to lug, 13 and a half thick. I think I measured like 13.6, but it has a really thick crystal on it. That's also a requirement when you go 600 meter water depth rating. It actually sits about 1 millimeter high of the ceramic bezel insert. 22 millimeter lug width, bracelet tapers down nicely to 18. You can see this one's plenty used. These are kind of getting to be older watches, guys, and it's fun to look back and reflect at these because they were really onto something. These watches were well built, and there's a reason why they're still around today. You can see fully milled clasp, still double pusher, CHR Ward London. I think I'm in the camp with a lot of other people. I actually like their branding. I'm fine with their newer branding, and I'm going to show you a little bit newer version of it. And it's not the most current one, but I really like the CHR period Ward. I like the abbreviated and the London. But anyway, CW there, double pushers, very simple, easy to use, very thin clasp. Still, even back in the day, I don't know how I didn't realize this, but it had the on-the-fly micro adjust. They've been doing it for a long time correctly. So really nice case back on this with a trident on there, fully pressed in. This one happens to have a date engraved on there. I don't think that was something, I don't know if one of the previous owners did that, 10/16/13. So I don't think Homer did that. Maybe who he got it from. I don't think Ward was doing that. So that was to commemorate something. Also signed screw down crown, 7 millimeter crown, beautiful, perfect size as well. Threads on this are amazing. There's almost no play in it, and sized a little bit large for my 7¼ inch wrist, weighing at 192 grams. So it's got a little bit of heft to it. Full stainless steel, obviously. Polished center links, scratched pretty good. Full polished case on the top side. Usually you have brushed top lugs on most watches. This is polished there and brushed on the side. So a little bit different than the norm. Coin edge on this 120 click bezel. Excellent bezel action. It seems like Christopher Ward has had that down pat from the very get-go, because even on their current ones, the bezel action is just amazing. I only wish Christopher Ward would offer a USA authorized dealer and service center. I think that would complete my whole thing with Ward. I would probably actually buy more. And maybe there's a few other things, but let's not get bogged down in talking about my wants or desires. So screw down crown, like I said, still functions, works great here. Pops out. You can wind the movement. These earlier ones, they were using, depending on what the supply was, they were using ETA 2824s or the Sellita SW200. I feel like this one might be the ETA 2824, just from winding it. And being that it's older and stuff like that, I'm not feeling any rotor spin. Sometimes the Sellitas, you'll end up feeling a little bit of rotor spin. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough call. But anyway, first position, it's not going to hack the movement. You can change the date there. Make sure you're in a good time frame to do so. Last position is going to hack the movement. And then, of course, you can adjust the hand set here to the correct time that you desire. This has the older ones, obviously, like this one, had the kind of onion hour hand, and then almost like a sword / syringe type minute hand, and then that lollipop, small lollipop second hand with a trident balance on that second hand. Very cool looking watch indeed. Nice design. Bold but tasteful, right? Look at that wave dial on that. Beautiful wave dial on that. Nice printing over that. And CHR abbreviated Ward London. I think they had it right all along. They could even throw back. They could even go back to this, guys. It's not like you have to hold on to what you're doing over there. I'm talking to Ward, guys, not you. I'm talking to people over Crystal Ward. You guys can do some heritage models. You've been around a long time. You can do it now. So the pip up here, you can see has like a nice green tint to it. Kind of matches. If you look just outside of those indices, they have that also green, that little pop of like mint fluorescent green or something, I guess. I don't know. The handset and the indexes are all going to use C1 Super Luminova. We'll do a lume shot at the end. C1 does pretty good. It's not my favorite lume, but that's what they used, and it's a good lume nonetheless. But you can see the brushing, everything's held up on this pretty good. Even back then, they were still using the pin and collar system. Very secure system, yeah. I wasn't kidding when I said this was used and scratched up. You could get that cleaned up, or you could embrace, like say you were going to pick one of these up secondhand, which is the only way you're going to pick it up at this point, then you could just embrace it and wear it. Speaking of wearing it, let me put it on my 7 1/4 inch wrist so you can get a little look-see. What a 43 by 50 looks like on my wrist. Totally fine, works great, feels great, nice curvature to the case. I mean, I do like the newer light catcher cases, they're calling them, better than these. But it's nice to reminisce on these. These were already like really good watches. I happen to have a bronze one in right now. Same case. It's the exact same case, essentially. But this had the newer branding where it just says Christopher Ward, and they put it over at the 9 o'clock. That just triggered everybody. So you can see what it does to the balance of the dial. Now, you're looking at 2 different colorways and watch materials and all that good stuff. But just look what it does to the dial. Like, I mean, nobody, you left a void. I get it. I understand why that upset them. It doesn't make any sense from a design point of view. So I'm glad that they moved on from that. And maybe one day we'll appreciate these even more. Probably not. It'll be the ugly duckling of the series or something, I guess. I think this is like, the Mark 1 is cool, but I think the Mark 1 had an offset date. So when they put the date at the 3 o'clock, that's the Mark 2. I think that's the best of the non-light catcher case. And then I think the new ones, I think, in my opinion, are the best Wards out right now, are the brand new ones, where they've changed up the design a little bit, and they look good. Let's kill the lights and check the lume on this. I honestly, guys, I don't recall what these were selling for back in the day when this was out. I think these came out in like 2009 or something, but I remember they were very affordable, because they're still considered affordable now, but they were even less not that long ago. So let's kill the lights and check the lume on this. I'm curious to see what these continue to do in the secondary market, but C1 starts off really good. It'll fade, and then it'll kind of like plateau its fade, and then it'll hold out for a while. So a little bit different lume on this bronze one, but this guy here, man, it's working good. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next vid.